Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we're going to be diving into Barrell Craft Spirits Seagrass 16yr. So following the success of the 2021 release of the Seagrass, the company decided to pull out some of its oldest stocks to create this 16-year blend. So a portion of the first blend was finished in Apricot Brandy barrels. A second portion of the blend was finished in Martinique rum barrels, and then a portion of the first and second batch was finished in Madeira barrels. Really excited to get into this one, guys. As you know, the Barrell Craft Spirits Seagrass did take my top whiskey of the year in 2021. Really excited to see how this one comes off, being some older stock. So without further ado, let's go. So the Barrell Craft Spirit 16-year is a 100% Canadian rye that comes in at 130.82 proof. So let's go ahead and get into the color on this one really quick. Really nice legs, thick and oily. Color-wise, it would be like a light, a light honey. It's not very dark, considering it's 16 years. Like a golden, maybe like a golden wheatish color. Pretty light. Again, nice thick legs on it though. Let's get into the nose. So first thing that really pops out to me is a little bit of green apple, like a sour green apple note. Definitely a lot of fruitiness, a lot of orchard fruit on this one. Pick up a little bit of pear there further into the glass. A slight little bit of nuttiness further away from the glass. Yeah, way more fruit forward into the glass. Again, a little more earthy outside. Slight hint of mint in the back. Really nice baking spices too. A little bit of like a paprika, maybe a little bit of cinnamon in there. But then there's also this tobacco note. That may be some of those earthy notes that I'm kind of getting a little bit further away from the glass. That with a little bit of nuttiness. This is the nose is way more fragrant than the original Seagrass was in 2021. That still had a pretty decent nose to it, but this one is way more fragrant. Yeah, again, those like orchard fruits, some, like I said, some pear in there further into the glass, and then a little bit of nuttiness, a little bit of tobacco further away from the glass. Still kind of has a little bit of that tropical vibe to it. That sour green apple note that you get that was the first note that I got on here. Actually, really nice nose. Let's get into the palate, guys. Cheers. Whoa. So that has it's so very savory. Really coats the side of the tongue and the cheeks. It coats it just all over the palate. Very mouth coating, watery. So again, a lot of those same orchard fruits that I picked up on the nose, coming through on the palate, covers the entire palate, front, middle, and back. I do pick up a little bit of that green apple note more towards the center of the palate. A lot of like candy sweetness kind of on the front. That like sour green apple note sitting right in the middle of the palate. The finish is just continues to go. Long, lingering finish. A little bit of pepper, a little bit of mint down into the finish. I mean, that is really mouth coating. Definitely, again, it just sticks to the sides of the palate, sides of the cheeks. Let's get into the second sip, guys. So a little bit of that rum comes into play there on the front of the palate now. That sweetness is kind of turned into this brown sugar. It's like putting some, from the front to the middle of the palate, it's like putting some brown sugar with some like baking, like green apples on the front to the middle of the palate. Again, that finish, long, lingering finish. It's still going down. Peppery, a little bit of mint. There's definitely some rye spice in there from the middle to the back. Not super grainy though. But man, that finish is just long, lingering finish. So I really like that the brown sugar with the green apples, like baked green apples with some brown sugar sprinkled onto it from the front and the middle of the palate. Very sweet, and then it gets that slight sour note from that green apple. Then there's after it all kind of goes down, the finish is still going, by the way. There's a little bit of oakiness in there from the middle into the finish, kind of with that pepper and that mint. Man, this is killer right here. Let's get into the last sip, guys. Cheers. Man, the flavors just get bolder and bolder the more I sip on this. It's like they just start to they really start to come through, become more bold. Same flavors. I'm not really getting anything else at this point on it. But like those brown sugars, baked the green apples, like really hard, like savory hit with those on the front and to the middle of the palate. Not getting a lot of baking spices on the palate like I did the nose. That oak starts to shine through now again on the middle of that palate. Still just saturating my sides of my tongue, my cheeks. And then, that slight bit of oakiness into the middle of the palate. Long, long lingering finish. Black pepper. A little bit of mint into that finish with that oak. Again, it's just, and there's just like this fruitiness. It's almost like that apple kind of evolves into like a little bit of like a peach, almost like a peach skin almost, just a really slight hint of it kind of mixed there in the middle of the palate. Middle of the palate into the finish is definitely the shining point in this one. Front of the palate, I love that burst of sweetness, that brown sugar. The brown sugar is that sour green apple note, kind of sits there in the middle of the palate, mixes in with that oak. A little bit of like a peach skin kind of in the middle of the palate. The end of the finish all kind of flows through with that oak and the pepper, like a black pepper, and then a mint. Truly an amazing pour right here from Barrell Craft Spirits. I mean, this one, this is the Barrell Seagrass just, given, a little hit of steroids there. It is very, very savory. I wouldn't say it's an exact replica of the 2021 Seagrass. The notes in this are very different. They're way more savory. I would say, I didn't get a lot of those oaky notes. I didn't get a ton of the black pepper and the mint like I did on the original Seagrass. But this one is just like, the flavors are way more bold and savory. The nose is way more fragrant. Absolutely amazing pour here from Barrell Craft Spirits. So I want to thank you guys for tuning into this episode of Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. I want to send a big thank you over to the team at Barrell Craft Spirits for supplying me with the sample to review on the channel. Guys, as far as comparisons, this one compared to the 2021 release of the Barrell Seagrass, the nose on this one was way more fragrant than the original Seagrass was. I still like the nose on the Seagrass. It just didn't have the fragrance again that this one did. As far as the palate, the original Seagrass was way more tropical, dominant. Still, a ton of fruit. This one was more savory, more bold flavors, more in your face, really sticking to the palate. More peppery, earthy notes onto this one. You could tell that there was, that the age was there on this one. Again, that oaky note that I got on this one, that flowed from the middle of the palate into the finish was something I didn't necessarily get on the Seagrass from 2021. Both of them are absolutely fantastic pours, but they do have their differences, guys. So if you're looking for more reviews like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, bell notification to be alerted of any upcoming reviews or live streams. You can also find me on Instagram at Dusty Dan's Whiskey Reviews. And until next time, guys, stay dusty.